Hey there guys, this is Groovytrons from technoladger.com. Today I've got some Battlefield 3 multiplayer gameplay that I played with my good friend Monos25. Um, Throughout the video I will be giving my thoughts and opinions, reviewing Battlefield 3, including the single player, the co-op, and the multiplayer. So I'll launch straight into it. In terms of the campaign, I find that I find that I agree with most of the reviewers out there that the campaign is quite unoriginal. The story is very generic, and in terms of what happens throughout the story, it's all been done before. Basically, you've got the Americans fighting the Russians and terrorists and bomb threats, and it's all over the place. It's all stuff we've done before. But it kind of stays at the same level with other campaigns out there and other games like Call of Duty, and it kind of reminds me in some aspects of Medal of Honor here and there. So it kind of stays on par with what else we've got in the market, but it doesn't really push those boundaries. It doesn't exceed anything else, and if I was to compare it to the Black Ops campaign, it's definitely not as good as the Black Ops campaign. Although I did really enjoy the Black Ops campaign. And also, in a very kind of untraditional way for Battlefield, the campaign is very, very linear. In the previous Bad Company games, for example, you could hop in your vehicle, go pretty much wherever you want, just blow up pretty much whatever you want. You can just go leg it through some fields, or you can go straight into the action. It was up to you. Like, you had that freedom. It was pretty awesome. But in Battlefield 3, I apologize about the lighting here. Something weird happened with my recording, but that'll fix itself in a couple of seconds. Anyway, so yeah, the campaign, very linear. There's lots of scripted events, kind of button mashing here and there, which nobody really likes. Oh, the accuracy there, shocking accuracy. Anyway, yeah, so the campaign is a little disappointing there. It works well, but you'll still enjoy it. You might replay one of the couple of missions here or there, but really it's nothing special, and I'll really just leave it at that. What I should say about the campaign, though, which is quite good, is that it's actually really challenging. Like, I've just been playing through it on just a normal difficulty setting. That's how I start off every game. And I have been struggling a bit here and there. There's some missions that were quite hard. So if you're looking for a bit of a challenge in your multiplayer, in your single player, Battlefield 3 does offer that. I'll now move on to the co-op, which is a bit of a side feature in the game, really. I think it features about 6 missions that you can play with a friend over the net. The missions are actually really fun, and they're quite big as well, where in Spec Ops, for example, in Modern Warfare 2, the missions were really quite brief, not very much happened, but these are all kind of long missions, covering large areas, and they're all based on the single-player campaign. So, for example, one of the ones I played the other day was set in Iran, where part of the campaign takes place, and it was almost like you were kind of controlling another one of the soldiers that was kind of revolving around you in the campaign. You just kind of weren't following the same story, but you were kind of there in that same kind of scenario, doing stuff like that. So that was really quite cool. I quite enjoyed that. And again, that is quite challenging. And there's lots of different ways. Like, there's a couple here and there if you're holding back hordes of enemies streaming at you. And there's one where you and your buddy fly a helicopter, stuff like that. So those are really quite good. What's a little disappointing there, it's the same with the multiplayer as well. Bit of a fail knife there, but he wasn't doing too good either. Well, yeah, so anyway, back to the co-op. What is a little disappointing about that is that you can't do the split screen, offline split screen, like you could with Spec Ops. And that carries across to the multiplayer as well. Although the multiplayer is really good, and I'll talk a little bit about that more in a sec, um, um, what it doesn't have is the ability to kind of play offline on split screen or online with a friend, like on the same system, or to kind of, there's the partying up and the lobbying, which works quite well. I have no really complaints about that. But in terms of what you can kind of do offline and stuff, there's no bots or anything like that. So I suppose you could argue that in some aspects multiplayer is a little limited there. But wow, does the multiplayer make up for it in terms of the maps and the game modes and just everything about the multiplayer is just absolutely brilliant. The gameplay is fast and fluid. I didn't have any of the lagging problems that I had in the beta, which is understandable. I mean, that would have been game breaking. But just the maps. Unfortunately, I've got Operation Metro again in this gameplay, which is the same map, and this is the same game mode that was in the beta. Although this the other maps and other game modes are just as good as this. I've not come across one dodgy map. And Conquest is brilliant fun as well. Team Deathmatch works really well. So there's lots of things that are there to love about the multiplayer, and just there's so many different things you can do. It suits so many different styles of play. The weapons are great. There's a challenging element to it. Like it does reward the skilled players, but then it kind of, you adapt to it very quickly, and where in COD, sorry, I start dominating here. I take out the destructive, pop a few guys, get my grenade, gets another, and then I get another headshot, another kill, and I rack up about 1,115 points just in that like 10 seconds. Pretty epic that. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. What can I say? The multiplayer is really good. Where in COD it kind of, you could say that it only suits like the run and gun type play. This, it suits that. It suits the snipers. It suits the more kind of strategic and like tactical players. If you want to do stuff like that. It suits the people that just like to go spamming RPGs. But then everything is balanced. I've not really come across anything that is unbalanced. The RPGs aren't too devastating, the grenades aren't too devastating. It all stays really kind of limited and really good. And the fact that you can kind of, there is slow regeneration of health, but you can heal and revive your teammates, and that gets you bonus points again. That's all really good. But yeah, it's really good. I know a lot of people that complain with the Battlefield games that there's an excessive amount of camping. I'd like to say that if somebody is camping in Battlefield 3, you just blow up the entire building they're in. You grab your RPG, blow up the guy's wall he's hiding behind, just chip away his cover. The guy's not going to stay there for long. I can tell you that now. He's not going to live there. He's not going to camp there for very long at all. I'd encourage you, if you are more of a COD player, Monos25, good mate of mine, I'm playing this game with him now. He is a massive COD player, and I'll link you to his channel. He has heaps of CODs video there. He has been enjoying this heaps from what I've seen to heard. And he's a run and gun player. That's what he does, and he's been doing that quite successfully in this game. I mean, he gets, I think, a bit more kills than I do in this game. Yeah, so if you are more of a COD player, I would encourage you to pick up a copy of Battlefield 3. Maybe maybe play the first couple of missions of the campaign, see what you think. I doubt you'll really kind of get much out of it, but the multiplayer is really the big success of this game, and I find it hard to falter other than the fact that there is no split screen and stuff. There has been a few complaints about the engine, I will say, and this again is on the PS3. I've really not had any problems at all with my console version of this game. What I have seen of the PC version, it does look better, although the graphics on this I find are still better than Battlefield Bad Company 2. They are better than that. And the Frostbite 2 engine, you know, it does have a few glitches here and there. I really haven't seen too many. I haven't seen people disappearing through floors or through walls that I did in the beta. But I have seen a few kind of dead bodies kind of suspended in the air or kind of sucked into a wall or whatever. But all that can be patched, and I'm sure it will be. So really, they have done a good job with this. And there's a lot of people kind of saying that that Battlefield had kind of, with the consoles, had some frame rate issues, considering that the FPS was substantially lower than the PC version. But it runs seamlessly. It's very smooth for me. Jumping over all the obstacles as you do works really well. You know, there are no major faults that can't be patched in the engine. There's, you know, as I said, I could go on just talking about how good it is, but I'd really encourage you to give it a shot. Hopefully one of your mates has got it and you can give it a blast. Yeah, it's like I'll talk about the award system as well. The ranking up is hard. Ranking up takes a while, and as far as I know, there are a lot of ranks and there's a lot of unlocks, so it's gonna take you a good amount of time to kind of fully unlock everything. Although the basic weapons you do start off with are quite good, so a lot of people kind of stick with those for a long period of time. Yeah, you know, it is quite of an effort to rank up, but you get awarded for like pretty much everything. Like you saw there, I got points for like the suppression assist. You get 10 points every time a squad member spawns on you. You get points for like kill assists, and no really matter how many. You get points for kill spree stopped, headshots. You get an additional 10 points. Points everywhere. It works really well, and the amount of unlocks are just incredible. Like you can see me flicking through the menus here, customizing my weapon during the game, which is very cool. So I just unlocked my red dot sight there, and I stuck that on. So it's really easy to do that. Just flick through the menus and just change your class halfway through the game, and it can really be a benefit too. And I know in several game modes I've switched like every class. I've sniped here and there. I've used the LMG to kind of suppress some enemies, perhaps in a building or whatever. So it links back to that scope and ability for any type of player to really benefit out of this game. And what's good about it is each map is kind of different. Each game mode is quite different, and different styles of play suit each other's here and there. So in COD, you know, some days you can be having a bad day and you're not winning anything. But I haven't really experienced that too much in this game just yet. I'm really looking, like, it's good to see that these games are kind of taking leaves out of each other's book. Like Modern Warfare 3, I honestly can't wait for Modern Warfare 3. It looks really good, and it's nice to have a bit more of a kind of refreshment in the franchise as well. I was just reading about the new game mode as well. The Kill Confirmed just sounds like wicked fun. And it's good to see some of that kind of tactical play kind of coming into the COD, sorry. And like you've seen with the Battlefield, they've had to. I mean, COD being as brilliant as it is, they've really had to compete with it in this game, and you can see that. And the two games are overlapping quite nicely. And I'd still argue that although they are kind of doing that, both games are going to be quite different. And if you can, I'd recommend getting both of them. But yeah, Battlefield 3, the multiplayer definitely worth it. You can kind of avoid the single player campaign if you want and join the co-op here and there, but yeah, the multiplayer is a real winner in this one for me. And so this has been Groovytrons from technologic.com. Enjoy, guys.